What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded, Lore in the Morn. I am your host, the Lore Reloaded. Welcome to see everybody. Happy to see everybody. What I was about to say, don't know how I got mixed up on there. Hey, if you've watched this before or you're watching it video on demand, you know how it works. I'm going to wait for people to join in a little bit and then we will just get down to it. If you haven't, check me out at twitter.com/lore reloaded. Of course, I do have a Facebook page, facebook.com/lore reloaded, though I only use it to message, so I don't even know why I still have that. And guys, if you want to help the channel grow, definitely check me out at patreon.com/lore reloaded, or super chats is a way to go as well. My video editor will be with us today, as you can see behind me, so let's see what's going on. What's going on, Travis? CRR in the house, Richard Hawkins, the Gamer J, Mr. Pete, always a pleasure to see you. We got Admiral Murphy, Trekman81. Hope all you guys are doing really well. The channel has just been exploding. It is so excited to see so many new faces. And let's go ahead and get this started. War Games prototype. I'm actually going to start this off by guaranteeing that I can't monetize this video and showing you guys a quick clip from the next generation. So this entire chat that we're going to have today, at least the starting of it, because if you've watched this, you guys generally will get me off topic. But the original subject of what we'll be talking about today was from a lot of comments that I'm seeing on my Galaxy class series. A lot of people getting upset when we talk about how the Federation wasn't ready, how the Galaxy class, while powerful, really wasn't prepared for what was to come. And what I find funny, I almost did this as a troll. For those of you guys who have watched my Intrepid class video, I will do trolls like that. I decided not to. I decided to make it into a conversation. But I actually researched this stuff. So I'm going to click us over real quick. We're going to watch a quick clip from TNG so that CBS can make all the money off of my hard work today. And then we'll break down into it. But so here we go. And I guess I got to turn sound on.
Well, you may not trust me, but you do need me. You're not prepared for what awaits you.
How can we be prepared for that which we do not know? But I do know we are ready to encounter it.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. That's why we're out here.
Oh, the arrogant.
Q, omnipotent.
They don't have a clue as to what's out here.
Mm-hmm.
They will learn. Adapt. That is their greatest advantage.
They're moving faster than expected, further than they should.
Wait
By
for
whose
it.
calculations?
You judge yourselves against the pitiful adversaries you've encountered so far. The Romulans, the Klingons. They're nothing compared to what's waiting. Picard, you are about to move into areas of the galaxy containing wonder.
Oh! Oh, yes! Oh, yes! Oh! Mr. Pete8680 giving a super chat. Says, Laura, my good friend, my first super chat for you. Thank you, sir. I am so glad that you are here, man. For those who don't know, my channel is expanding. I'm going to have new art, new assets coming up. I got a website that should be done in a week, all because of super chats and patrons for people like you. Let's go ahead and talk about this clip. Shan't we? It's almost like I've watched this and do this for a living. The Galaxy-class starship was a wondrous, great piece of technology. If you're looking at it fighting things like the Klingons or the Cardassians or even the Romulans. Now, I would disagree a little bit on the Romulans. I think the Romulan D'Deridex class was very powerful and could be quite a match for the Galaxy. At least that's what we see in TNG. But when it comes to other specific things, other threats, they're not ready. They didn't create ships that make them ready. The Galaxy-class ship wasn't prepared for the Borg. None of the Federation was. The Galaxy-class was not prepared for the Dominion. None of the Federation was. They weren't building things looking at threats that might be. They were just sitting back on their laurels. The Galaxy-class ship is a wonderful ship. I like the Galaxy-class ship, but it has a pacifistic tone to it in certain aspects, and because of that, it got people killed. A lot of people say with the Odyssey, well, they had weapons that could go through shields, that Starfleet wasn't prepared for, that the Alpha and Beta Quadrant wasn't prepared for. You're damn right they did, because they didn't prepare for it. They didn't build a military based on improving things to protect what they have. They were the top dogs, and they failed because they sat back on their laurels and always expected that no one could threaten them. And remember, the Odyssey was a souped-up Galaxy class. It wasn't the Enterprise. It had better and more powerful technology. So that's what just confuses me when people get so uppity about this. Just because it's not prepared, and just because Starfleet had a certain tone to them that got people killed, doesn't mean that the Galaxy class isn't something special or something that you can't look at. But it is the top dog in the next generation, and it was not prepared for a lot of the threats that came its way. Now, I'm going to get off my soapbox for a couple minutes, take a look at what you guys said, because as you know, this is a back and forth. And we'll just continue going that way. The Galaxy 10, or the Galaxy Dreadnought, wasn't too bad. I agree, the Galaxy Dreadnought was pretty powerful from what we've seen. So glad you played that clip, says Richard Hawkins. Really showed the almost dreamland that the Federation were in. The Romulans were silent for decades. The Klingons were their allies. Who was there to fear? No one. Exactly. Exactly my point. That's what I'm trying to get across. They didn't have, for all they thought, they were the last greatest empire. They didn't have anybody that they felt was a threat. So why make anything? The Odyssey hadn't had civilians on board. They evacuated those people before. I agree. I've never said the Odyssey had people on it. The Galaxy class Venture was almost a totally new subclass of the Galaxy class. Family, especially... Okay, don't know what that is. You cannot prepare really for something you don't even know exists. Disagree. I disagree. You can make weapons and continue to improve on weapons and prepare as best you can. Now, you'll never be completely prepared for something you don't know, but you can not stagnate. You can do that. You can continue to expand. Arguably, the USS Enterprise post-Wolf 359 McKinley Station was strong as the Enterprise pre-Wolf 359. Don't know if I agree with that. They needed a proper military, not a glorified Coast Guard. I would agree. So a lot of this, and again, it goes back to why I think Starfleet was pacifistic, and that's how they got people killed, was that they were somewhat of a glorified Coast Guard. They didn't look at themselves as a military. I've played clips of Picard pointing out that they're not a military. Riker saying that combat is a small purview of being a captain. And what's funny is I remember that in that episode, he's like, combat is a small purview of a Federation or Starfleet captain. He gets the Enterprise Galaxy Class D during combat destroyed, and the Enterprise E is almost destroyed under his command. Every time he takes command in a combat situation, he generally gets whatever ship he's there destroyed. The only time he did well, I think, was when it was all a ploy and he was captain of the Klingon ship. Remember, they did the exchange thing and he was captain of the Klingon ship, and that was just because they gave up, not that they could really put up a fight. Nathan Norman, Galaxy class is like a dreadnought. It changed the game for a while, but newer ships that came after it could hold their own against it and destroy it once they had its measure they took out. Yeah, that's my thing too. A lot of people get upset when I say the newer class ships were more powerful than the Galaxy. That's just the way advancement works. A lot of people get upset by that. But that is just the way that it works. I mean, an Intrepid had more powerful shields and weapons. A Cure had more powerful shields and weapons. A Prometheus would destroy a TNG era Galaxy class ship. So That's just how advancement works, folks. I'm sorry you get upset about that. I really look at when you put it chronologically, when you put the Star Trek series chronologically, not when they actually come out, but in real time. But you have Enterprise, the original series. You have Discovery, Enterprise, the original series. No, that's not how it goes. God, I hate Discovery. You have Enterprise, Discovery, the original series, The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine / Voyager, and then a lot of the movies. The way it goes is in Enterprise, they're not ready. They're trying to be explorers. They're moving towards a militaristic way. Discovery, arguably, they're more science than military, but there's definitely some military attitude there. The original series, definitively military. They're science when they're not military, but they are a military in the original series. The Next Generation, oh my God, pacifism. And I think that's because of what they won in the original series. And Gene in the real world says that they had tamed it, and that's why it's like this. The Next Generation, they were so used to winning that they stagnated, and that they made powerful ships. I'm not saying the ships weren't powerful, but they stopped innovating. And that's what got them killed, in my opinion. Let's see. Reminder, in the pilot episode, Picard called Cold War veterans clowns. I don't remember that. I mean, he may have. I don't remember that. Wow, if he did, that's crazy. One of the remits in Starfleet is defense of their colonies and member states. If I said it once, I will say it a million times. Admiral Cartwright was indeed correct, not about the Klingons, but the fleet. I would agree that Cartwright was right in sentiment, but not in the way he did it. I would agree with that, too. Let's see. At Lore Reloaded, if you could redesign the Galaxy from the ground up to be a warship, would you keep the overall general frame or go with a brand new look? It would more be what you see with the Acura or the Sovereign or the Intrepid. That ship is just looking to get itself destroyed. It's my opinion that Starfleet should almost be... I'll say this. It's my opinion that Starfleet should be run like a military, but used as a science branch. What I mean by that is that when they put ships together, and here's a good example. Look at the Intrepid, not Defiant, but look at the Intrepid, the Prometheus, the Acura, and the Sovereign. These are ships that can fight. Some of these ships are arguably warships, but they were made with science in mind as well. I fully think that the Defiant is an anomaly, and that anytime Starfleet made a ship, the Federation... So Starfleet is the military. Starfleet made the ship. The Federation required them to justify it from a science perspective. We also see that in the original series. That's the way I would build ships. You would build ships that would be able to fight a war, but when they're not fighting wars, they are doing scientific and humanitarian objectives. I would make all my Explorer-class ships like that. I would make all my Defense-class ships like that. I would make all my Transport-class ships that... Everything with that mentality. I'm not saying they couldn't prepare for something. You're right in that. But really, they did not prepare for the Klingons, too. And yesterday's Empire, 3 Cavort BOP mopped the floor with the Enterprise D. I would disagree that they mopped the floor with the Enterprise D. Don't agree with you that an Intrepid could take a galaxy, but 2 Intrepids, which you could make for the cost of a galaxy, could. Did I say 1 Intrepid could take it? I said it had more advanced shields and systems, and it does. I think it could give a run for the money. I just don't think that a TNG-era Galaxy class would be as prepared. I guess maybe the Galaxy class would overpower it, though, even with lower weapons. But you're right, 2 or 3 would probably move it towards being destroyed. Nathan Norman... Starfleet, as I see it summed up, best with a quote from Londo Malari. Arrogance and stupidity all in the same package. How efficient of you. I don't know where that's from. I like that quote, though. If you could redesign the Oberth from the ground up, what would you do with it? You know, here's the funny thing. I don't hate the Oberth. I really don't. What I do hate is the use of the Oberth. The Oberth is sent into battles almost every time it's available. That's how you get people killed. The Oberth is a laboratory set on 2 nacelles. It should run for its life anytime anything close. If a shuttle came and was about to attack the Oberth should go to maximum warp and pray to God that the shuttle doesn't catch up. At Lore Reloaded, did you ask yourself why Starfleet sent a Wolf 359 ships with civilians in the battle? For example, the USS Saratoga. I think that the reason why they sent ships for the battle was because the ships were available. I don't, so once you make ships and you put civilians on them, and then you have the Borg attack when you don't expect it, there's not really a lot you can do with that. You got to bring all your ships together to fight. This, again, is a reason why you don't put civilians on ships, because there might be a time when you don't have time to unload them. Evolution. Starfleet should have a separate military special force, like modern-day special forces. Let rest of Starfleet do its thing, but if war fighting needs to be done, call in the spec forces. Yeah, a lot of people say that. That seems incredibly inefficient to me, and I don't know. I think it would just be easier to do it the way the original series did it, in my opinion. Now, I could be wrong with that, right? So it could be. I don't know about having branches. I have not been convinced of that. Starfleet should have. Oh, I already read that. Where was the one? Someone told me... I miss it. Sorry, guys. These things come so fast. Someone was telling me where the quote was from. I know it's from Babylon 5 now, but I lost where specifically. Here it is. At Lore Reloaded says, Nexus. That quote was from Babylon 5. It's a good show and shows what happens when a military tries to be diplomatic, and it's great. Yeah, I look forward to being able to do breakdowns on that. What if the United Earth had been able to analyze and reverse engineer the Borg sphere? I think you would have seen Starflight. Yeah, that was a good point, too. Anti-Trekker brought this up. That was a really good point, that the fact that the sphere is on Earth, that they have this huge ship that they never analyze or use or whatever, because it's actually on Earth, that should have given them a massive advantage. At that point, I do think that the Vulcans had set them on the right course. I think that even with their advanced ships, they probably would have seen Starfleet and the Federation, the United Federation of Planets, would have expanded much quicker. The Romulan War would have been all but won. But I don't think it would have changed anything beyond just making the United Federation of Planets move faster, because at that time, United Earth was already moving to bring everyone together. Starfleet needs armored vehicles for ground combat. I agree. Ripley Riley, that clickbait title, though. No, we've actually been talking about it, Ripley Riley. You should show up earlier, sir. Clickbait also isn't bad if you actually talk about it. So clickbait has gotten a bad reputation. Would the shields of a ship stop something like an oversized bullet that would be fired from a railgun? I assume it. Shields are just... I can look it up for you guys, exactly the breakdown of a shield, but it literally stops anything that comes at it, a projectile or energy. And it's just an energy shield that's put in front and slowly drops. Howard Gleason says, was Pike in command of the Enterprise at the end of Discovery? I thought it just showed up. Either way, I cannot think STD is Prime. Star Trek Discovery is Prime. I assume Pike is in charge if they care about continuity, but since they don't care about continuity, it could be the first officer. Was her name Lady? I forget what the number one's name was, but it could be her. I wouldn't be surprised. Imperious Gaming says, asking for someone who tried asking you but missed it, do you think Starfleet should design and build ships like in Battlestar Galactica? Their technology is different, so the way they build the ships, no, because a Battlestar wouldn't make much sense given phasers, torpedoes, and the enemies they're fighting. That said, I do think that they should be completely military like Battlestar Galactica. I think that all of the mentality, everything that's set up, the CIC, and all of that should actually be set up so that it is similar to that in Battlestar Galactica. Starfleet, yesterday's Enterprise. If you guys have seen yesterday's Enterprise and the Next Generation, I seriously think that's what it should be like. Or the original series, sans a lot of the campiness, they had a very military standing, very military feel in a lot of the episodes, and I do feel like that's the way that it should go. If I was to rewrite the Next Generation and not worry about necessarily ratings, I was going to say views because I'm a YouTuber, but ratings, then I would write it more to Battlestar Galactica, and I would make it I'd make it, again, they're explorers, they're out there doing science, but ultimately it's a military, so it's going to be run like a military. Sublight projectiles would never even breach the deflectors. This is their entire job of it. That's true. Deflector shields are meant to stop debris, so I guess that makes sense. As seen in Star Trek Into Darkness, Section 31 had a warship. Do you think it's possible that they could do something like this in the Prime timeline, or have? I would be very surprised if Section 31 didn't have their own ships. I don't know about warships. I don't know how hard that would be. But I would be surprised if they didn't have their ships. They would have had to, given everything that I won't call him Stallone, but that's obviously not it. The agent in Deep Space Nine did. I mean, with all the transport, and the transporter technology would have had to been pretty powerful too. The transporter technology and the things they did was on par with Dominion tech. When you look at how they bypassed Deep Space Nine's security fields. I like your cat. Well, that is my editor, and he's doing what he usually does when he's editing. Nexus, something not really explored in Star Trek, but I think a carrier vessel like a Cura with lots of fighters should be useful to the combat capabilities of the Federation. Yeah, they don't talk or do enough with fighters. Peregrine, I think is how you say that. Fighters. So I'm not surprised that there isn't a lot that goes on from there. And honestly, it's just everything they've built with phasers and torpedoes and things. I just don't think there's a lot you can do with starfighters in the series. I could be wrong. It'd be interesting to see. They did use starfighters and different wings in Operation Return. So I would have loved to seen that. But yeah, I don't know. I'd have to see how they're done. It would have been interesting to see them actually attack and that battle go on for a little while during the Operation Return itself. Consider this lore. If the sphere had been reverse engineered in the 22nd century, would United Earth and Starfleet tolerated the oversight of the Vulcans like they did? At the time the sphere was found, at that point in the series, I do think that they would have continued on where they were going. They may have been a little more obstinate with the Vulcans. They may have pushed a little bit harder. But I think that they had already been set on their course of unification of the galaxy. By the way, guys, if you're watching this, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. 100 people watching, only 19 thumbs up and 2 thumbs down. Come on. Just thumbs it down if you want to. I don't care. Just do one of the thumbs, up or down. It's the only way the show is going to prosper. As well as, once this show goes live, don't forget that if you comment on my videos this month, you have a chance of winning a Galaxy-class starship. If you like this channel, you want it to continue to grow, you want things to be better than what they are, and you want me to continue to pump out videos every week, definitely consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Lore Reloaded. You can also actually become a sponsor. Sponsor is the green up there. Hit it, $5 a month, just like Twitch, helps me out a ton. And super chats are always accepted, and the best way to get me to answer. I mean, I try to answer and talk to you guys, but I can't get everyone. And I definitely see super chats, but I try to get everyone. Michael Lath, what are your thoughts on Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek movie? I get this a lot. I'm not a huge fan of Discovery, and I would say that Discovery is going to be a lot similar to what Tarantino is going to do. I like Tarantino movies. I don't like Tarantino movies that would be that have a Star Trek skin, if he's going to do it the way he's done in the past. That said, I'm going to give it a chance because it is happening. This is going through. I'm going to definitely give it a chance, and hopefully it'll increase. They'll do something good with it, and maybe he'll turn me around. Maybe he'll turn me around to Star Trek being R-rated. But we're just gonna have to see. But yeah, I just first glance, not a fan. Though I'm not a huge fan of Star Trek being R-rated. Defiant Boris. Yeah, here's another advantage. It's Eagle Moss, of course. They make great collectibles. But if you want to, you can win a Galaxy-class starship. It'll double as a Crossfield class when you leave it in the oven for an hour. True story. Don't do that. And if you do that, don't sue me. Who do you think is more of a threat, the Flood or the Borg? Probably the Borg, I would say. The Flood is pretty stout. But I honestly think the Borg probably are more of a threat. What is your opinion of the alternate Galaxy class with the third nacelle and the phaser cannon? So you're talking about the Galaxy Dreadnought. I believe that's the Galaxy Dreadnought. I think it's cool. I think it's pretty. I like it. I think it's nice. I think it's a ship that was made understanding that you're going to fight things that you don't know what they are. So yeah. Han Solo says R-rated Star Trek. Good Lord, yes. Han Solo's in it. Han Solo, I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Maybe you've been here before, but I haven't seen you in a bit. Hope you're doing well. Han Solo bringing up a good point. To stop the Flood, the Forerunners had to wipe out all life in the galaxy. Of course, they didn't, though. So I don't know why. You know, that was the goal. That's what it said. But the Flood was stopped without killing all life. And if you're talking about originally when they did that, well, obviously they failed because there was still Flood there. The Oberth will suffer from the fact that the Grissom was designed to be a joke, according to the Star Trek III commentary, from its pink chairs right to its destruction in a lucky shot. Yeah, so that's the thing. The Oberth was designed to be destroyed, and when they want to destroy a ship for no reason, they do it to the Oberth class, because it was made to be a redshirt. That's why it was created in existence. So, you know, a lot of people get upset. It's like, oh, you're picking on the Oberth. I'm just using the Oberth in the way that it was designed, and the way that it's in the lore. Anytime you see an Oberth, something bad happened to it. Unless you're in Star Trek Online. But yeah, I just... Chris Lyons, lunch break is over. Thanks for coming, buddy. Appreciate it. You know, I would be interested to see the Oberth and it actually be something of use, because it seems to have absolutely no use to it. It's a science vessel. It's specifically for science. You would think that this thing would be so powerful that it could do all the science. But what's the advantage of an Oberth over a Miranda? What's the advantage of an Oberth over Constitution, over Galaxy class? Why design an Oberth? Is it designed because it's cheaper? Is it designed because it can do more science? And that would make sense compared to everything that the Galaxy class can do. So, I would, you know, I wish we could get a better understanding of what the Oberth could do. But that's even how it started on this channel, because I was doing breakdowns, and I was doing the breakdown of Ul 359, and at that time I didn't have Starship lore, so I'd talk about the ships, like break down the ships in the actual videos, which I don't do that anymore. I wish I hadn't done that. And I was looking at the Oberth, and it's like 2 phasers. Like, what the hell are you doing? And then at the Battle of Sector 001, First Contact, they had 3 of them. Conspiracy Theory says evolution. Was Riker a Section 31 agent? Proof. Protected the Federation cloaking device on the Pegasus as an ensign. Placed on Enterprise to spy on Picard. Proof. Refused promotions. I don't think he was Section 31. I just think he was incredibly stupid. He may have worked for Section 31 not knowing. Nexus. You called the Crossfield the pizza cutter of the Federation, but isn't that the Oberth? So here's my point. And before I get into that, Admiral Saval, you're the best, sir. You're the best. I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple of years ago, they had a new pizza cutter that was the Constitution class. It was literally, there's a pizza cutter that's the Constitution class. And that was one of the things I thought when I saw the Discovery. Like, it was literally a pizza cutter in space, which is why I gave it that name. At Calboche, oh, that's not talking to me. I thought the Oberth was just for planet surveys. Man, that is a useless ship if that's all it does. At Lore Reloaded, you need to remember that the Oberth at 359 and 001 was at the core of the Federation, far from the borders and any expected combat. So, a couple things to that. Wolf 359. Okay, so Hawaii is getting attacked by the Russians, and the Navy didn't expect it, and so they're putting the fleet together, and here's what they decide to do. They're going to have 2 nuclear subs, 3 aircraft carriers, 4... I don't know, just pick a ship. 4 dreadnoughts or something like that. An entire wing of aircraft carriers, and the war canoe. And let's just do it. Instead of that, instead of sending people to their deaths, which is what you did with the Oberth, or what you would do with the war canoe, why not use it to, I don't know, get people away? Or maybe go to the fleet and start transporting off the civilians, as many as you can fit on the Oberth, and run like hell. Defiant Boris. I actually have a... Defiant Boris says, make a shirt with an explosion and have it say Oberth class. I actually have a shirt coming out. February was the first time that the Patreon actually started really exploding. I'm having a shirt specifically made for my patrons in February. And what it does, I've already got the artist on it. It has an Oberth, and it has a little frowny face, and he says, I'm just an Oberth on the front, and in the back it has an explosion, and it says, and nobody loves me. I can't wait for that to come out. I'm going to send it to all of my patrons who were patrons in February. I'm looking forward to that. I can't disagree at Lore Reload. I can't disagree with that, but I think that Starfleet was in panic mode as we're just throwing everything into the fight, says FMLA Ward. At the Battle of War 359, I will agree they were running scared, which is exactly why they got beat so bad. They wanted to try to stop it, and they started a fight that they weren't prepared for, and that they shouldn't have gotten into at that point. They should have waited until Sector 001. They should have pulled back. Make a stream at 6 tonight. I have school and I really want to participate, but I have class in a minute. I can't, but I will be Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can come hang out then. We can talk about it over. Quick question. Does the Federation have any dedicated colony ships? The Galaxy class worked as a colony ship. It would create and help with colonies. Before that, the only ships I'm aware of that were colony ships were generational ships before the Federation with the United Earth, and those didn't have warp capability. And some of them weren't even colony ships, they were just traders. It'd be funny, it's really interesting. I have a video on the United Earth before the Federation. Check it out on my channel, or just look up the United Earth. Before really Warp 2, what they would do, and honestly even into it, because I don't think Starfleet would share warp technology as much as people like to think they would create generational ships, trading ships, where they would buy and sell stuff, and one generation would launch from Earth with goods, go to another planet. By the time it got to another planet, a whole new generation of people was there to sell the goods, make the money, and then make the trip back, and then Generation 3 would get back to Earth to actually use the money. It's kind of crazy. At Lore Reloaded, do you watch The Expanse? If so, Season 3 trailer is out, and it's looking so good. I want to see The Expanse. But at the moment, I don't have the bandwidth. I would absolutely love that, but I can't. Let's see. Whoop. Lore Reloaded, you have 19,931 subs. Hopefully you reach 20k before the stream ends. Richly reserved. Yeah, I'm not going to. I don't think I'm not going to keep the stream on that long. Thank you. I'm really excited, really hyped. I'm having to watch it because I'm getting so many subscribers. It makes me want to just continue to push out stuff, and I need to make sure I'm not going to burn myself out because of that. But thank you. I never thought I'd be anywhere near that, and I'm already... I had a goal for the end of the year, and I'm going to smash that. And it's all because of you guys, so thank you so much. At Lore Reloaded, I agree with you on the Oberth, but is it possible that the Oberth class was there as a support ship to actual fleet during the course of battle? It ended up to the front, says 14K Liam. Even if I agreed with that, which I don't think that was its purpose, but even if I agreed with that and said, okay, the Oberth was there as a support ship to do scans or something, and the Federation didn't realize that the Borg don't care about that, even though the Borg do, and they would know that the Borg would just destroy the ship. There's no reason to have 3 at Sector 001. Absolutely no reason. If the Excelsior has transwarp, and assuming that Excelsior classes were still made, why not use that to rescue Janeway or maybe Starfleet? There's something about... Yeah, there's an explanation for that I forget. There's something about that. Like, either it stopped working, or maybe the transwarp wasn't as fast as the new warp in TNG. I forget how they explain that away, but transwarp didn't exist at that point. Nexus, do you not have bandwidth because the money you still are subscribed to? Yeah, to CBS. I had to resubscribe to CBS. If you're not on my Twitter, check me out at twitter.com/Lore Reloaded. I was complaining about that because I'm doing the whole rewrite of Discovery that'll be out this week, and I had to resubscribe to them to get that footage. This is the only Star Trek channel I'm sub to, since a lot of other channels praise the Federation, and you're the only one I've seen point out their flaws. You know, a lot of people get upset about that. I am going to take a look at something and give it the due respect that it's worth. Why is my cat sitting? So if they do something wrong, I'm going to call them out. If they do something right, I'm going to call them out, and I'm just going to be honest about it. I consider this channel vlogging / edutainment. I'm an entertainer, and I try to give information while I'm doing it. But when I start looking at Babylon, when the series for Stargate finally comes out, I'm going to be honest about it. And I think a lot of people are going to get upset because I don't generally jump on one bandwagon or the other. I really don't. What are you doing, buddy? Babylon 5 is on Netflix. Not for me. I'll take a look again, but it wasn't for me. Here, you need help down? You want help? Come on. Okay, why are you making this harder than it has to be? Federation, dumbest mistake was the Treaty of Algernon. I would agree with that. Though that was more out-of-universe stuff. They just didn't want to give the Federation cloaking devices. And there was no reason for them not to have cloaking devices. Wait, Babylon 5 is on Netflix now? I don't think it is. I don't think Babylon 5... Look, I got Netflix pulled up right here. Hold on. We can actually take a look together, gents. Here it is, Netflix in the United States. Babylon 5 is not available where I live. I do have Amazon, that is true. Alright guys, we'll probably be ending it pretty shortly, so if you had any questions or anything you want to talk about, let me know. I'm glad to get back in this. Also, if you could, don't comment here, but comment when this video goes live and let me know what you'd like me to talk about. I always have things I want to talk about, but I never know if I should delve into it or not. But ultimately, I think that Starfleet does get quite a few people killed, and I think it's because of their pacifistic nature. You see it in TNG, you see it in DS9. But I don't think they'd be Starfleet if they were any other way, honestly. I honestly don't. I think it would be a different entity. I think Oberth, I think the Oberth was there to take scans of Borg Cube to find targets for other ships to fire on. They took suicidal position only due to desperate situation. Is that why there were 3 of them last time at that first contact? Even though they already had all the information they needed? Do you think that the Riemann Warbird Scimitar was created as a direct result of the Dominion War, knowing that such ships exist? Would Starfleet upgrade their top-line ships? I think that the Scimitar was a Mary Sue ship that was created so that the Sovereign had something that was actually a threat, because anything short of a fleet would not be a threat to the Sovereign, because you have, I think by First Contact, there's so much power creep that you have to start creating these insane type of things to defeat the ships that have been made. I do think that it was a response to the Dominion War. I don't see how the Remans built it, but I do think it was a response to the Dominion War. I had one guy who claimed up and down that the Scimitar existed during the Dominion War, and that's just absolutely idiotic, in my opinion. But I do think it was a response, yes. Slaves in the Klingon Empire and how the Starfleet is cool with it. Yeah, I mean, by the time of the Next Generation, they weren't slaves anymore. They weren't conquered peoples. They had become members. But still, the Klingons had enslaved a lot of people. And the Federation being... Okay, I guess it's kind of like how the United States will deal with other powers that have nuclear weapons, where we're willing to put up with a lot because we don't want to deal with the outcome or deal with what it would require to free it. And again, in the Klingon Empire, those species for decades, if not hundreds of years, had now been a part of the Klingon Empire. They all considered themselves a part of the Klingon Empire. If you had freed them, they would have wanted to be a part of the Klingon Empire. They would have fought you to stay in the Klingon Empire. Defiant Boris, since you have been vocal on how you think the Borg are not as unstoppable as fans think, what of 8472? Do you think they're as strong as fans think the Borg were, outside of Captain Plot Armor Janeway? I think that both the Borg and 8472 have their weaknesses and can be exploited and defeated, as you see in the different series. Just because I think that 8472 was a better pick than the Borg doesn't mean that I don't think the Borg aren't scary, or that the 8472 is something that shouldn't be feared. The situation in context, 8472 at least attempts to talk to 8472 makes more sense. Who'd win in a fight, a Klingon shuttlecraft or an Oberth? Klingon shuttlecraft? I mean, that's like asking me who'd win in a... Okay, that's like asking this. Who'd win in a fight? The space station that's currently in, like, real-time 2017, the space station that we have, or an Oberth class. Obviously, the International Space Station would absolutely destroy the Oberth class. I mean, you don't even have to ask those questions. Mr. Pete 8680 has suffered some brain damage, saying I'd rather take an Oberth over a runabout. If there's anything Star Trek Online taught me, it's that the Borg are weak sauce. Indeed. Oberth versus a potato. You found one that I think the Oberth could win. Barely. They would barely defeat the potato. But defeat the potato they would. Could the Oberth be refitted to accommodate a saucer separation in order to colonize aquatic worlds? I wouldn't be surprised if the Oberth has a saucer separation already. So, just to let you guys know, tomorrow I'll be continuing Operation Return. We'll be talking about the Resistance. I'm sure you guys are going to get mad because I'm going to talk about how the Dominion looked like they were a really good empire, a really good organization compared to the Federation and Klingons. At that time, they did look that way. Thursday, I either have... I'll probably be doing the Dominion War series, which I haven't done in a while, or I'll be doing a continuation of the Star Trek Online. There's some behind-the-scenes reasons I haven't been continuing Star Trek Online. I'm not necessarily going to get into it, but I'm on the fence if that series will ever continue again. And then Friday will be the what was decided on by you guys and by the patrons, which is the Borg War, which will be all-out war during the Nemesis era. So you're going to have an all-out Borg invasion of the Alpha Quadrant during the Nemesis era, and what I think will happen with that. So you guys be thinking what you think would happen, how you think that would go down. But beyond that... I'll read one more. Evolution. If the Borg first encountered an Oberth class instead of a Galaxy class, would they have tried to assimilate it? So basically, if the Borg had first seen the Oberth class and that's what they saw the Federation had to give, they would have treated the Federation like they treated the Kazon, which I think it was the Kazon, where they wouldn't assimilate them because they thought that it would take a step back. to assimilate an Oberth class is to really basically take a step back from perfection. But with that, guys, I want you to know, thank you so much. Again, I should hit 20,000 subscribers today or tomorrow. I'm going to do something special. I don't know what. It has been under a month since I hit 10,000. So thank you guys so much. Don't forget about all the giveaways. Don't forget about patreon.com/lore reloaded. I'm going to start going to events, and I hope you guys can join me there. But I want to thank you so much for watching today. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And guys, I'm going to see you on the next Lore Reloaded.